I have now seen Director Comey's letter to Congress. We are 11 days out from perhaps the most important national election of our lifetimes. Voting is already underway in our country. So the American people deserve to get the full and complete facts immediately. The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July. Therefore, it's imperative that the Bureau explain this issue in question, whatever it is, without any delay. So I look forward to moving forward to focus on the important challenges facing the American people, winning on November 8th, and working with all Americans to build a better future for our country.
That was Hillary Clinton responding Friday to the FBI's decision to reopen an investigation into the former Secretary of State's email server. That news came as a surprise to Clinton as the probe was deemed closed back in July. Earlier, I spoke with CBS News senior political editor Steve Shigaris about the timing of the announcement and Clinton's response.
They obviously feel that this could be perceived as politics being played on the part of the FBI, and they wanted to sort of call that out and say, okay, now this is on the FBI to explain to the American public why they came out 11 days before an election and told Congress that they were looking into this new revelation. They feel, the Clinton people feel that that there's just not enough information out there, and they should come clean with the American people and say, tell them what are you looking at? What exactly is causing you to reassess this investigation that basically was closed back in July? And so they must feel they have an argument to be made. Now, what's very interesting to me is that these are the same people who were cheering Jim Comey back in July when he came out and said, that the FBI was not going to recommend prosecution, that the case was basically closed, and they were running, they were high-fiving each other in the campaign office when he came out with that news conference. And so it's quite the 180 now on Comey than it was back in July. Also interesting, Donald Trump, somebody who's criticizing James Comey for the last several months because of what happened in July. Now, all of a sudden, the FBI, in his mind, might not be as rigged as he thought they were. So it's funny politically how these things turn all of a sudden very quickly when a new revelation comes out like this.
I was just thinking about this. I don't know that I've ever seen the Federal Bureau of Investigation be a punching bag for both parties over an extended period of time, the way we've seen in the last couple of months. As you pointed out before we spoke to Major, Republicans weren't happy with the FBI back in July. Now Democrats aren't happy with the FBI now. I mean, I just wonder if they're probably overreaching. I mean, the FBI is conducting an investigation, and we want to believe as American citizens that they're impartial, that they have nothing to do with politics. I wonder if this is a losing strategy for both sides here.
Well, we can first of all add this to the list of unprecedented things we've seen over the last year and a half, right? I mean, that list is, it's probably a book by now. But in terms of the FBI, here's the way I look at it. So Hillary Clinton's going to use this argument to try to spin this as something, as Major mentioned, that she's the victim in this now, that the FBI has brought this up 11 days before the election, and that all of a sudden this is why are they doing this, and they need to explain themselves. Here's the problem, though, that she has, and she doesn't have much of another argument to make here, because the email situation has been something that's been lingering for a year and a half for her. It's something that she's been unable to explain away in a way that has convinced voters that they're okay with her explanations. In fact, the polling backs that up. And so now you have the development today, which in very simple terms reads to voters as the FBI is now investigating Hillary Clinton's emails again. Right? That's something that's very simple for voters to understand. And now she has to counter that with something, and so she's trying to use this, the FBI needs to explain themselves. Here's the question. How do voters view this? Are they going to listen to the Donald Trump's and the media reporting this story and all the Republicans out there that are going to be hammering her on this, or are they going to listen to her, who they don't really trust or believe on this email story saying this is the FBI's fault. It's going to be really interesting to see how voters react to all this. I think ultimately what we're going to see is, and you talked about this with Major, can Trump stay on message for the next 11 days? Well, I can tell you who's going to stay on message. It's going to be the Republican Party and down-ballot Republicans who are seeing this issue as a godsend, especially in these tight Senate races that are neck and neck in places like Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Missouri, where they feel that there's a potential for, forget what happens at the top of the ticket, if voters go in and hold their nose and vote for Hillary Clinton, that they will go in and then say, you know what, fine to have Hillary Clinton as president, but we don't want a Democratic Senate or Democratic House, so we're going to vote for a Republican to the Senate. And that has Republicans down ballot sort of salivating at this development today.
Final question, Steve. Is it wishful thinking by the Democrats and Hillary Clinton that this is already baked into the decision that voters have made? In other words, the argument being, look, everybody knows about this. Everybody knows that I've been investigated. They've already made up their minds.
Well, a lot of people may have already made up their minds, and it's not a good answer, right? Because people, if you look at polling, don't look at this positively for her. So this just reinforces this negative idea. And here's where it can be a problem. And I go back to the down ballot races. When these races, these Senate races, these House races are tight, you're talking a few thousand votes may be the margin of victory in some of these cases next on November 8th. How is this going to affect those few thousand voters that are trying to figure out, do I vote for the Republican to the Senate or do I vote for the Democrat for the Senate? And if the idea of don't give Hillary Clinton a blank check comes into their mind as they're pulling the lever for Hillary Clinton, that can be a benefit to the Republicans. So again, it just reinforces a negative opinion of Hillary Clinton, and it maybe it doesn't have a negative impact on her specifically, directly, but it may have an impact electorally down ballot, which will then affect her if she's elected president when it's time to govern in January.
Steve Chaggaris for us tonight in Washington. Steve, thank you so much for your analysis. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Vlad.